Hi everyone and welcome back. So in this video we are going to talk about BOM API. So in the last videos we talked about DOM, and now in this video we are going to talk about the browser APIs. Okay, I mean browser object model and all. So this actually deals with the document object, DOM APIs. BOM APIs deals with the window object, and then there are some web APIs which are talking about web forms, history, storage, web worker, fetch APIs and all. So DOM APIs we have covered. In the BOM APIs we are going to talk about the window object, a global object of parent of everything. Global window object. Even the document object, document object is also a part of, it also resides inside a window object. Why I'm talking about this is, let's say if you try to do inspect here, I will try to show this thing. So there is a window, right? Window.document. You can see the document object also resides or a part of the window object. Okay, so window object is like everything, and it has its own APIs which we can access by using window.close, window.cache. You can see closed confirm, window.alert. This is also API of window object, window.confirm, when you wanted to take some input from the user. Window.alert, confirm, and window.width, window.location. There is a navigator location. Window.navigator to check. Even the navigation also there. Window.navigator. It talks about the browser. Okay, what is the browser, who is the vendor and all. And there are some timing APIs like window.set timeout. These are the timer APIs. Let's say if I wanted to execute something after 1 second, right? So I can just do this. These are the timer APIs. You might have heard about these things. Hello. So after 1 second you can see it is printing this. So these are timer APIs which we can access. After 2 seconds it is going to print hello. So window.cookie is also there, window.storage. There is another thing is the screen width and height, right? Window.screen APIs. So these are also part of the global object, window.screen dot. You can see all the window.screen.width. So it will give you the current width and the height of this. And you can also do window.screen.available width, available height. So this is a screen APIs which will give you the current window width, height and all. Let's say you try to resize. In that case, you can actually add an event listener also on this window.screen dot add event listener. I think you can attach resize event here, and whenever you do a resize, then you will always get the current width and height of the window. Okay, so this is all window screen APIs. Then we have a location. In the location we have already seen, I'm just talking everything here in this console. So this is our main stuff we are talking here. Window dot location dot href. So what it will do is, when you set this href with, currently this is my current location, right? I also can set the window dot location to something else, google.com. right? So it will load it and you will see the google.com. okay, so there are lots of other options we can check. Location.href, href dot path name, I mean the current URL where you are, path name, port, path name, sorry, protocol. It's HTTPS protocol. Path name, host name is also another thing. So if you wanted to get all these properties, what is the host, what is the protocol, what is the path? So current path is / right? And your href is your current location. So these are like location APIs that will give you more information about your web page, your domain. What is the path, protocol, host? Then we have a history API. So I can just do window dot history. I mean, you don't need to use window every time. Whatever is available on the window object, you can access them directly, like screen. You don't need to write window dot screen. Okay. Now next thing we are talking here is the history API. So I can just use a history API directly like this. History dot go back, history dot back. You call this. So your previous page, it will try to load, and we are on the previous page. History dot forward. And it will take you to the forward page, which is google.com, right? So this is the history page. You can actually navigate to the back and forth. It works in the same ways, browser back button and browser forward button. Then navigator, here we have already seen this navigator thing. Navigator is the platform, navigator.platform. It will give you the name of the platform we are on, Mac Intel. Navigator dot app code name is Mozilla. I think there is a vendor. I mean, who is the vendor of this browser? Google Inc, right? So these are the navigator API which will give you because sometimes you need to check what is the browser, and based on that you need to turn on and off settings, pop-up alert, right? So alert box, you can also do the alert. So you be using this alert many times. So what is this alert? Alert is nothing but a part of browser APIs, browser object model. Here we do is a window.alert at the client side. It's the same, either you do alert or window.alert. And then there is a confirm that is used to ask input from user, enter value. I'm not sure how it works, enter value, and then it will just ask you the confirmation, okay, and cancel. And based on that, if you do a cancel, then it will return you the false. If you do okay, then it will return you true. So if you wanted to take an input or confirmation, then you can use this confirm API, window.confirm, and type your message. Are you sure you want to close it? You want to close the window, something like this. So window.confirm, window.alert, and then there is a timing event, set timeout, set interval. I will talk about set timeout. We have already seen set timeout. I mean, it will execute this function after a particular duration. So you specify the duration here, and here I'm just doing nothing but console.log set time, or simply let's say hi. So after 2 seconds it will print hi on the screen. Similarly, there is another function is set interval. So what it will do is after every second it will print hi on the console, right? Set interval means it is going to execute this function after 1 second of interval. In that case, what you need to do is you need to clear this interval, window.clear interval, and currently we don't have function. So either how it should be done is you create a function like this, function message, and here you do console.log hello. Okay, this is your function which you want to execute, right? So what you will do is window.set interval, and this is the function which I wanted to execute, message after every 1 second. Okay, and then it is easy to clear the interval. That means I wanted to reset the interval now, clear timeout or clear interval, and we just pass this function. Your function name was message. Now it has done the clearing of interval. So there are two methods like set timeout, set interval, and clear interval. That is all about to clear the interval. Like it will like clear when you do a set interval, it will keep executing that function in every second. It's like a repeated execution until unless you clear the interval, right? Similarly, there is like window dot clear timeout or window dot clear interval. These are two methods which are there. You can just do a clear timeout, so it will not execute that. Clear interval, that is to clear the to stop the execution. How you actually do it, I think it's still executing because we did this, you can see. So what is the right way? I need to close the tab and maybe use this here. Here what is the way of doing it? First of all, you need to assign it in the variable let x equal to, and assign set interval here. Set interval, let's say this is the function, is the message. My function name is here. This is the function I wanted to execute after 1 second, and this is doing console.log print. Okay, now it will print, keep doing this continuously. So what we need to do is clear interval, and we need to pass this variable. So when we start doing it, now it has stopped printing this. This is the right way of clearing this set interval task. Similarly, there is a set timeout and clear timeout. So clear timeout is also the same thing. Here, instead of doing this thing, you assign it to the set timeout. Set timeout. Okay, execute this function after 1 second, and here I can just do clear timeout, like clear interval, and pass this function. So this is really required to clear out the things, like clear the timeout or clear the interval, so they don't keep executing. Another thing is, we already know the local storage and all. I think local storage is part of a local storage here, and window.local storage .get item, set item, these are the methods available. These are the storage APIs. Right, and you can just do set item, get item, window dot local storage dot get item, and what item you are trying to get, hello. Right, so these are like storage API. Until unless you don't delete them, it will be available in the applications tab. Here you can see this value is hello, value is this. Another thing we can discuss about the cookies, how we are setting the cookies on the browser at the client end side. So document dot cookie, it's empty right now. You can set the cookies, and cookies are nothing but a key value pair. Okay, name equal to tks. Okay, document dot cookie, and then when you set these cookies, how to get the cookies. Okay, so we are setting the cookies. Cookies will be available whenever you make a request. Let's say here, I need to clear the console first, and we will see how these cookies are set. So that is also available in the application tab, and here you can see these are cookies which you are adding. Any cookies which you will add, that will get added here. So let's say if I'm doing cookies here, adding something, I can add some cookie which will be available till. So this is the cookies I have added. Let's see, because you can also set cookies to the domain, on which domain you are adding to the cookies. Where this cookie has added, because there are many. If we have to add this, you can see here, you can see this cookie has been added. This is the name, this is the value, this is the expiry, and here you can also edit this thing, whole thing, edit name, show request with the cookies. So whenever the request will go, this cookie will also go with that. Okay, cookies are like a tiny piece of information that you can send to the server with the request. Cookies are configured to a particular domain, okay, like localhost, and cookies are used to share the information between client side and the server side. There are cookies which are server side only, which you cannot access at the client side, but there are some client side cookies which we are creating that we can send to the server. So cookies are like, this is important topic, and in the JavaScript we are going to use this a lot. So cookies are attached to the domain when we are accessing them, like local storage will be attached to the browser. Until unless you don't delete it, it will be there. Cookies has an expiry, so they will be available till they don't get expired, and they are attached to the domain. Let's say there is a client and server, so client is running on localhost 3000. So all the request, API request, it is going to send to the server. Cookies information will always be attached to that. So maybe I can show you something if I can find. So here in this network tab, there are lots of API calls are being made. Let's try to see if I can show you some cookies. So client data, I do not see cookies. These are the request headers. I mean, currently I don't have any session at all. You can see this is the cookies. I mean, these are the Google Ads IDs, but this is the cookies information that is attached and that we are sharing between client and server. Okay, so this is the cookies information being received. It has a key and the value. This is the path, and okay, there are no cookies here. Yeah, so this is the cookie information I was talking about. So this is all about the browser API. We have whatever we have discussed here, the timing API, timer API, navigator, history, location, screen APIs and all. Let's talk about the web APIs, how it really works. These are like same concept, but I think we have divided them into a different categories. Like if you, now let's talk about the web APIs here only. I will try to divide them into different segments. So web APIs, BOM APIs is all about global window object. Here where we are accessing the location, history, navigator, timer APIs, because all these things are available on the window object. Window.navigator, window.location, window.local storage, window.cookies, window.document.cookies, window.timeout, window.setInterval, all these things. So forms APIs, and let me check what all we should cover here. So storage APIs, that is that comes under the web APIs, but I think that is same as the, I mean, we can consider this in the inside a browser API also. Here we are talking about the web APIs. Fetch APIs, that is also shared between BOM, like browser APIs, or web APIs like fetch to trigger the Axios call from the client end side. Geolocation, I think we have already covered that, these things inside a browser based API, browser object model. Geolocation, web worker API, web forms, and all these things. Let's talk about these things in our console without doing much delay. So I will just close this, inspect, let's play with these things. So I'm talking about geolocation. I think we have already done this to detect the current location of user. And how we access these web APIs, it's all available on the window object, window.geolocation. I think I remember I have already covered this topic, so I'm just skipping this thing, how to get the current location of the user. And then window.fetch APIs. Fetch APIs are available. You can just do, I think, window.fetch. So fetch APIs can be used to fetch the file or fetch the URL from the external endpoint. It's like you don't need to use XML HTTP request. If you remember, we used to do this XML HTTP request to make a API call. Let's say I need to get the data. So JSON placeholder APIs. So we don't need to trigger the JSON calls, JSON API calls and all. Earlier we used to use AJAX, asynchronous JavaScript and XML request. Now I can write simply like this and it will give you the data, right? Correct. And I can use this on the console because fetch APIs is available on the window object. I hope this is visible to everyone. Otherwise I will just try to zoom it in. So this is the fetch APIs available on the window object. Here you can make an API call like, okay, this is your URL, all the to-dos, give me all the to-dos, and I will get all the list of to-dos. Okay, because this is a fetch APIs which we are using to make a XML HTTP request, and we don't need to write the long syntax of AJAX. Earlier we used to do it. Now we have fetch APIs available on the client side. We can make an API call. What we can do, it can be your own APIs which you have provided, like posts, comments. I can just fetch the comments. It's a simple HTTP GET. So just change the URL and get the data. This promise is pending, and now you get all the data, right? These are the fetch APIs. Now storage APIs we have already talked about. Web store, local storage.get item, set item. History APIs is window.history.back and forward. I mean window.history.back and forward, and go to that particular URL, forward, go forward, go back, or go to that URL. Okay, so that is the history API is really important. Then we have the forms APIs to check the validity of the message and all these things. We have already seen that in form validations, like we were doing email text field and we were checking the validity of, okay, the field is valid or not. Those are the validity APIs. I can just talk about that. So let's say we are, where is my Scrimba? Okay, I lost the track of that. And I'm talking about this thing. So what this function is doing, we have already talked about this thing. These are like pre-built validations provided by the forms APIs. So here I'm saying min max, right? So when you type onto this JavaScript code, okay, let's try to do it properly. So here we have index HTML content, and here we have JavaScript code. So in JavaScript, what we are doing is we are checking if this is valid or not. So when you are typing onto this number, when you do one click onto the button, right, what we are doing is we are checking the validity. And here ID demo, inside this we are checking text value, document.get element by ID ID1 dot validate dot range overflow. If it is true, value too large. So what we are doing, maximum is 100. Let's say I'm passing 4000, right? So value too large, I can just do alert here, because here I'm doing text. So instead of that, document.get element by ID demo. Because here we need to show the message, and message.inner.html, message.text content. So initially is message.text content, initially the value looks okay, and why it's not showing? So I'm accessing it using demo. You need to put a hash. Okay, I can close this, run this again. Okay, now if I try to enter something, cannot set the properties null of text content message node, message.text content. So it means that let's do it like this, declare this function here, document.getElement by id demo, and here I'm entering the out of the range value. What is I'm setting text content, so this message is coming null. Document.getElement by id demo. What's the problem with this? I don't understand. Let's try to do this, console.log. Okay, id is demo only. Why I'm putting a hash symbol? Const. Okay, so now I think it worked. The thing is, it sometimes reloads, sometimes it doesn't reload. It's a random behavior of this. You can see value too large now. If I do this, value too large, and in else case, message.text content value is okay. Okay, value is okay, value is too large. Okay, so what is this validation? Validity.range overflow. What is this about? This is about the forms APIs. These are like the custom forms APIs using which you can check the validity. Here, let's say I'm entering an input type text field. I have already talked about this, but let's do it again. Input type email. Okay, and this is required, and you can also set a max length or min length. I mean, you don't need to do it for input type text. Placeholder is email. What did I do? Input type email, required placeholder, and I can just also set email name. Sometimes it takes times to refresh. It's required, not read only. What is this garbage text coming? I will reload this page and expect the okay. I don't know why it is taking it like this. So what I'm trying to do is simply input type email. Input type email, and we will check the validity then. Name email, placeholder email. Okay, so let's say what you are doing is I have added here on input method. Okay, and the method will do is check email. This is the function we are calling when you are typing something in this. Okay, I don't know, this is the problem. So here I will just add a function check email, and here I will try to get the node. So here we can add ID also with the email. So we will try to do get element by ID email. Sorry, email, and then this is the email node, right? And here we can check if email node dot validity dot valid, validity dot valid, then message dot text content value is okay, otherwise invalid. So this is like this is what I was talking about. This is how we can use a forms API to check if the value we have defined using this criteria is valid or not. I'm just playing with this thing, valid, and this message node also I need to get using document.get element by id. Okay, this is poor on the formatting. I will try to format this content. Okay, so what we are doing is whenever I'm entering something in this valid, so this is input type email validity dot valid. Okay, I mean you have entered the value, but what if I'm checking another thing is email node dot validity dot type mismatch. I think this is the property we do is type mismatch. I'm not sure about it. I will check the documentation. So we are checking two things. First of all, it should be valid and there is no type mismatch. Email node validity dot type mismatch. Let's say if you are not entering the email properly, because valid email is something like this, then only it will become valid. So I will run this. It is still showing the valid. That means it is going false. This is type mismatch. So I mean these are the properties which are available on the input text field type email. So that means type mismatch is there. We are expecting you to enter the email, but you're not passing the email. So here you can see if I'm entering this, then it will become invalid, but now it become invalid, right? So it's invalid. hello@gmail.com. Now it's valid. So these are the web forms APIs which are available with the HTML5. You can check the validity using the node